Hi. So today I want to talk about verbal abuse. So there's verbal abuse and there's physical abuse. Verbal abuse can also trickle over to emotional and mental abuse. And verbal abuse is when another person repeatedly criticizes someone else and insults them repeatedly. And that is a very destructive way of communicating with another person, because that is a way of breaking down someone, breaking them down mentally and emotionally. And that is a type of abuse. That is an attack of abuse, verbal abuse. Some people don't realize that that's abuse, but it is. If you are living with someone who's constantly saying you're stupid, you're an idiot, what good are you, um, calling you out of your name, you know, all the disgusting names someone could call you, if they're telling you you're trash, if they're telling you that you are beneath the dirt that they walk on, that is verbal abuse. So that's a verbal attack on you, and that is abuse. And no one should live with that. That is, unbelievably, it is worse than the physical, because it has a long term effect on you as a person. So, a lot of times, if you would ask a woman who has been abused which one was worse to them, was it the verbal abuse or was it the physical abuse? I guarantee you they will say the verbal abuse. And without that happening to you, you would think, no way. But when it happens to you, you're like, wow. Because verbal abuse affects your emotions, it affects you mentally as well, your mental state. And what verbal abuse does, it begins to break you down. The longer you live with that person and keep hearing those horrible things that's describing you, that's putting you down, that's degrading you, that's making you feel like you're less than the dirt on the street or the garbage in your kitchen, that messes with your mind, with your heart, with your emotions, with your self worth, and it slowly begins to break you down. It breaks down your inner woman and breaks you down as a person. And you begin to lose your self worth. You begin to feel like you have no value. You begin to feel like you have no value to anyone else outside of your relationship. You begin to feel like you are not worthy of anything good, because this person constantly pounds in your ears, which trickles to your heart and your mind, that you are nothing. So when someone is doing that, they are slowly killing you, killing your inner woman. They are belittling you, letting you feel like not even God loves you. And it is not a good way of living. Verbal abuse is a very destructive way of communicating with someone. And if something is destructive, it's destroying you. Yes, so as the time passes and you're living with that and enduring that, you're slowly breaking down. You're slowly dying inside. You're losing yourself. And it's as if you want to hide away from the world and curl up somewhere, because the feeling is you are nothing. You're not worth much. And so it is a horrible thing. Verbal abuse, emotional abuse, it could let you curl up like a baby after that person says some really awful things. And especially hearing that from someone who you believe loves you and that you love. It is just very, very painful. For me, emotional abuse made me feel pain that in my heart that I never knew that those levels of pain exist. Oh yes. And it messes with your mental to repeatedly hear someone telling you these awful things. It makes you want to go crazy, makes you feel like you're losing your mind, and sometimes it makes you want to check out. So, verbal abuse, no woman should live with. Verbal abuse should not happen to anyone. It's a destructive way to communicate, and that is not healthy for any relationship or for any person, for any woman. So, if someone is repeatedly just breaking you down with their words, belittling you, it's like pulling out your heart and stamping at it and putting it back in, and then pulling it back out and stamping at it again, around the clock, every day, every month, through the years. Eventually, it's like your heart is just hanging on a string. Yes, very, very, very painful. And it has long lasting effects, which is why um, it's seen as the worst form, one of the worst forms of abuse, because it 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 affects you for a long time. It stays with you, and it takes therapy sometimes to remove that pain and whatever destruction it has caused in your mind, because then not even you can love yourself anymore. You have all this love for that person who is abusing you verbally and emotionally and mentally, but you have completely lost love for yourself. And so verbal abuse is a terrible thing, very, very painful. So no woman should also live with this, with someone using foul language to you day in, day out, calling you the B word, the S word. You all know all the terrible things that a person could possibly call you, day in, day out, all the time, repeatedly. Yes, so that destroys a person. Someone breaking you down with words. Words are powerful. Oh yes. That's what words can kill, and words can destroy, and words can also heal. But if it's bad words, if it's negative words, it will cause damage, destruction. It will break who you are as a person down. So we have to be careful with our words, and an abuser is not careful with his words. Oh no. And it is said with no care, no remorse. They just say it out of their mouth with the intention to hurt you, with the intention to hold you captive, to make you feel like you're nothing to anyone else on the outside. And it is used to control you, and ultimately to just destroy you as a person. Then you become weak. You become weak, emotionally weak, and mentally a messed up mind that needs therapy or healing. There are a lot of women who have to go through months and years of therapy because of verbal abuse, of emotional abuse, of mental abuse. It is that destructive. Yes, it is. It leaves it leaves sometimes a permanent mark, a permanent reminder of what that person has said to you. Because when you speak something, it's not you, it's, it's like you can't take it back. So once those horrible words go out, and it goes to your mind and your heart. And then when it keeps repeating, you begin to believe what that person is saying to you, right? Some people get to that point where they begin to believe what that person is saying, and then they feel like nothing. So verbal abuse is not okay. Someone doing that to you is not okay. Escape the abuse. Bye now.